Oh boy, what a day we have planned for you today. A guy named Paul Baratero, brand new best friend, joins me today. How many of you, with a show of hands, want to know what kind of water I drink? So I went from reverse osmosis to added hydrogen, and we'll talk all about that today, his Echo 9 and the other ecosystem, water systems he has today. Then I'm going to introduce something in your food that is poisonous, and yet our doctors don't know it. They're called fungal mycotoxins, you know that. And then Kyle is going to join me, and we'll answer some Facebook questions. I think one of the most important, seasonal allergies we talked about, but even more importantly, someone asked me, Doug, what would you do if you were diagnosed with cancer? Do I even need to run that segment? Do you guys know me well enough now to know what I would do? No, I'll go ahead and run it. All that and more on this Know the Cause. My name is Doug Kaufman. For the past 40 years, I've dedicated my life and even my career to finding the root cause of disease. Join me in a team of physicians, pharmacists, and scientists, and soon you too will know the cause. Paul Baratero joins me right now. He is the CEO of a company called Synergy Science, and folks, the green room. If you'd have been a bug in that green room, of course there are none, but if you'd have been a bug in that green room, a fly on the wall, and listen to this guy's conversation. I get asked 3 times a day what water I drink. I can't go to a restaurant. People think I drink some kind of pure water. I've been drinking reverse osmosis water, but a couple of doctors I know and a couple of businessmen I know changed my world totally. And then I got to meet Paul. We actually walk by each other at these. He lectures at some of the same symposiums I do, and we've never shaken hands until this morning. So Paul joins us right now. Synergy Science makes a technology, has a patented technology to add hydrogen onto H2O, right? So teach us a little bit about what you've developed, but more importantly, can I go backwards?
Sure.
You were a licensed healthcare practitioner, right, at Pedora?
Yes.
Why water? What got you into that?
Well, 2 things really foundationally. I've always been more interested in the why, or know the cause.
Right.
Really not band-aiding, which our medicine, our system band-aids. And I like to know the real cause, and the source problem. So if we can get the source problem and fix that, then we fix the individual. So while I was in diabetes, I was much more interested in how we can get rid of diabetes rather than...
Is that what a pedorthist does?
You work diabetic with foot and ankle.
Okay.
Yeah, so my whole world was on preventing decubitus ulcers on the feet, and the result would be amputation. Yeah. And so in our world, the studies show that when you cut something off the body, you have 5 years to live. And when you do a second amputation, 1 year to live. And so I wanted to stop that process. How can we prevent decubitus ulcers? Because then if you prevent the ulcers, you're going to prevent amputations. Yep. So that was the world that I was in. And, I used to lecture at Oklahoma State University and St. Petersburg College on epidemiology and the effects of the country, and microvascular, macrovascular, and all the issues that started to break down in the body neurologically
with diabetes and other
with
and
having
other
glucose in your blood, which is just frowned upon. So, anyways, that was the world. And so when I began to understand that we could affect diabetes, now my wife was the first person that I saw significant changes, and she is the love of my life and my queen, my everything. Right? Yep. We've been married 23 years now, but at that time, we were married about 10 years, and she had issues. There were things, she was anemic, she had thyroid issues, she had gynecological, so there were a number of things going on. And so I would always say, if it helped her, which it significantly helped her, then who else will it help?
See, that's the exciting part. So dare I say guinea pig, your wife, your best friend and your guinea pig. It so often happens, folks. You know my story. I come back from Vietnam. I feel miserable. All the king's horses and all the king's drugs couldn't put me back together again. Sure. And I made it a 47-year business. Yeah. You guys now, your wife starts drinking this water. Sure. You don't know why, but you're a scientist. You want to know the cause, right? So you start digging in. You ask the guy with the water, what's in this? It tastes like regular water, right? He doesn't know. But you learn by adding hydrogen gas to H2O. Right. Health benefits are immeasurable.
It is, and effectively dissolving. You can think of Perrier, right? Water that has carbon dioxide dissolved in it. So we know that it's easy to take a gas, dissolve it in a liquid. In this case, Perrier has carbon dioxide. We're putting hydrogen gas, H2, what's called diatomic or molecular hydrogen,
and
into
that's the
water.
unit right there, right?
Yeah,
This is the unit that goes into
Yep.
your kitchen. We're going to talk. We'll show you more about that in a few minutes because there's a couple of units. But I just wanted to get an understanding.
Sure.
The FDA has generally recognized this as safe, right? Hydrogenated water. I don't know of another company that has built the technology, patented the technology to take your water or to take clean water. This unit not only cleans the water, it then adds hydrogen gas to it. So when we get back from this short break, I want to go into that.
Sure.
If it's H2O already,
Yep.
water, what does adding hydrogen gas to it? There is a beneficial, you guys have seen miracles.
Yes, huge.
And the reason I know this, I had the opportunity to talk with a couple of friends of mine who use this technology. Of course, I get Paul on the phone immediately and say, you got to fly to Dallas and sit down and let me interview you. So when we get back, why does adding hydrogen help? And how does this technology do it? And can I get it? Good questions. We'll be right back with Paul. This is the Echo Water Unit. Paul Baratero joins me today from Synergy Science. This is a guy I've walked by many times, never said hello to. We lecture at some of the same meetings, but then my doctor friends are telling me, you've got to try this water. Guys, what do you ask me on Facebook every time? What water do I like? What water should I be giving my kids, my pets, etc.? I found the water. Okay, Paul joins me right now. You don't have to buy hydrogen gas to put into this unit. Mm-hmm. It's making it. It does everything.
Right.
It cleans your water and then adds the hydrogen gas.
Right. So when the water comes into the unit, and you can use tap water, well water, any water source that you want. When it goes into the system, it goes through very robust filtration to remove pesticides, metals, pharmaceuticals, of course, chlorine and chloramines, but we can even get fluoride and all those things. So first we want to clean the water. Once it goes into the machine, after it's cleaned, it goes through a proprietary electrolysis. Now, electrolysis was discovered in 1800 by Dr. Anthony Carlisle because he was wanting to create a hydrogen generator because he had read a study in 1798 that hydrogen had therapeutic benefits. It's amazing to think about that for a second. 1798, they put studies out already, and I don't know what happened to us over a few hundred years, but the reality is we go through an electrolysis process, and electrolysis separates the water molecule and back into the gases that form it, hydrogen and oxygen, and then we're simply dissolving the hydrogen gas into it. Now, we have proprietary electrodes, we have proprietary technology. You mentioned the patented where it reverses from cathodes and anodes so that it's impossible for minerals to ever build up, because that's a major weakness in electrolysis when it comes to hydrogen.
So the cathodes you don't need to replace.
Never.
Right? You change a filter. There are two filters in it. One of them you change at 6 months. Another one you change at a year.
Yeah, this one, in this machine, the Echo 9 Ultra, it's 1,000 gallons. It will speak to you and tell you when it's time to change it. And if you don't change it, it won't work. The machine will stop functioning because there's a chip on the filter that communicates wirelessly with the machine to know how many gallons.
Won't tell you that at 3 a.m.?
No.
Okay, good. And then tell me about this unit. This sits on your counter, and you have the option there. That can sit on your counter?
That's right.
Okay.
Or be under sink with the faucet.
Okay.
This one, countertop only, really simple, just produces hydrogen water. And yes, every 6 months you would change the carbon block filter, and every year you would change the hollow fiber membrane.
Now, I'm excited to ask you this as a healthcare practitioner. You're soon to be an ND, right?
Yes.
That's exciting.
Yes.
Congratulations. You and Robert Scott Bell?
Yes.
And partners for many, many years. I love Robert Scott. Tell me a little bit about, I'm a little bit amazed, for lack of a better word, at what I'm hearing.
Sure.
People are drinking really good hydrogenated, cleaned and hydrogenated water, and they're overcoming some health problems.
Sure.
Dare I say therapeutic water is here today.
Right.
Why? Because we're void of hydrogen?
Right. So that's a good question. We should be producing hydrogen in our body. We can produce it in our gut.
Yep.
When melanin functions appropriately in the body, it can split water molecules we're 70% water, or should be. Melanin can split it to harvest the hydrogen for energy in the body, because you have a huge energy source, right, of water. So hydrogen is a part of our body and a part of our life, part of creation. I mean, the sun is powered by hydrogen. It's definitely a part of our existence. We know this. And so what we're simply doing is, for those that have gut damage, because that's where the major attack is on the immune system, is the gut, right? So when we have a diminished gut function or a lower immunity than we should have, if we increase hydrogen concentration in the water, we'll restore gut function and we'll restore the ability to reduce oxidative stress, because that is the chief benefit of hydrogen, is reducing oxidative stress.
Just quickly, folks, you can get more information on this. Just go to my website. He has far infrared saunas that I love, other products. Just go to knowthecause.com. By the way, if you talk to someone, there's an 800 number there. If you talk to someone, tell them you want Doug's discount on this, right?
That's
and we'll make sure that happens. Quickly, alkaline water. Where's your heart on that?
Really, there's no medical benefit, therapeutic benefit by drinking water with a higher pH. Water comes out of the ground at 5.5 to 8.4. There's really no medical benefit.
It is great shaking your hand today. Although we've walked by each other, it's great shaking your hand.
Likewise.
God bless you. Thank you for all the work you're doing.
Thank you.
There it is, folks. Great water. Thanks, Paul.
Yeah.
You know, Daniel Crouch works out a lot, and he knows a lot about water and how your body needs it. After that, mycotoxins in foods. What are they? Where do we find them? And can they hurt you? Watch.
Hi there, this is Daniel Crouch with your Lifestyle Moment on Know the Cause. I've got a secret for you today. Have you ever wondered how to alleviate 90% of all the things that cause you disease and headaches and things like that? Water. Simply H2O. The majority of us don't drink enough of it. It's easy to get distracted with sodas and coffees and things like that, but good old-fashioned water is a headache killer, and it will alleviate all kinds of issues that you're suffering from. How do you know if you're dehydrated? Well, one way to do it is to check the bottom of your feet. And if they're dry and they're hard, you're probably not getting enough water. So you can always know if you're drinking enough water if the bottom of your feet are hydrated. Why is water so important? Well, it's 67% of what you weigh and of your body weight. And also the earth is about 2/3 or about 67% of the overall volume of the earth. So think about this next time that you are suffering from a headache or you're not feeling very good. Do I have enough water? Also, we sometimes think that we're hungry when we're really just thirsty. So before you start, jumping into things you shouldn't eat, which is easy to do, have a big glass of water. Water really does alleviate a lot of the things that cause us problems. So enjoy this little tip. Try it out next time. I think you'll enjoy it. Again, this is Daniel Crouch with your Lifestyle Moment on Know the Cause. Thanks for joining us.
You know, many years ago, gosh, this must be in the 1980s, I bought a book, Grain Storage, The Role of Fungi in Grain Loss. I mean, this is interesting, folks. Clyde Christensen and Henry Kaufman, no relation, wrote this book in 1969. And it was one of the early books I bought. You can see it's a bit tattered. It was a library book. But in this book, they say only recently, 1969, what were you doing? Let's think. Man, I was in training before I went overseas to Vietnam. In 1969, they said only recently we recognized that grains deteriorate in silos. And sometimes they can turn to poison. Well, how does that work? Grains, being sugars, can, once they get wet, can off-gas a poison. And we know that they're liquid, solid, gas, etc. There's not just one thing. But they make this secondary byproduct, a poison. They need to be hot, they need to sweat, right? And they need to be filled with sugar, which grains are. So they're carbohydrates. So this book was an eye-opener for me, and you should see the notations in it. I mean, they're priceless back a long time ago. My writing was even different a long time ago. Out last year came an article, Toxins from Food Mold Weaken Airway Defenses to Cause More Damage. Now, folks, you go with me 50 years later, they're now talking about these molds and the symptoms that might ensue if these molds get into your body. So let's talk a little bit about them, because you know me. You guys have known me for a long period of time. If you're brand new, welcome aboard. You're going to learn a lot. It just so happens, folks, that it was 1963 when Kennedy was assassinated here in Dallas, Texas, that doctors discovered that poultry were dying in droves in England. Tens of thousands of turkeys died, and each one was autopsied. And they couldn't, just like we do when people die, right? You go to pathology, an autopsy is done, they say, well, he died of cancer. But what caused that cancer? So they were doing all these autopsies. Imagine these pathologists, veterinary pathologists, doing dozens of autopsies, and they'd say, yeah, look at, he bled to death, or he grew this horrible thing in his liver. And each one would have a death certificate. This turkey died because, just like you and me when we die, no one examined the cause. The name of the show is Understand Why You Died, right? Then one bright guy said, is this the food you've been feeding those hundreds of thousands of turkeys? It's peanut meal. And peanut, we found something in it that doesn't look good. We've been storing peanuts and it grew something on it called aspergillus. And aspergillus is a mold that off-gasses a poison. It's called aflatoxin. Aflatoxin, are you sitting down? Aflatoxin causes human liver cancer. Fait accompli, done. That's the answer. And yet not one oncologist in America today understands that. Your doctor doesn't know. Wait a minute, doc, I never drank in my life and you're telling me I got liver cancer? It's just like I never smoked in my life and you're telling me I got lung cancer? These mycotoxins enter your body, peanut, sometimes, wheat, more and more. That's why all you guys going off wheat and calling it a gluten-free diet, it ain't the gluten. It's the fungal poison, more than likely, that you're feeling better because you're avoiding. Okay, you think you got a gluten problem, you may have a mycotoxin problem. And then finally, corn. Corn, according to one journal, Council for Agricultural Science and Technology out of Ames, Iowa, in the 1990s, corn is universally contaminated with these fungal poisons. So I just want you to know, when I read a headline like this, toxins from food mold weaken airwaves, it weakens everything. It causes human liver cancer, and I suspect many other cancers. Folks, if we wait around for medicine to discover this, we're going to live our lives, with mediocre medicine, pill-given medicine. If we're proactive, we'd say, wow, Doug just told me to stay away from sugar, which is a grain, and corn, which is a grain, and other grains, and peanut, and see if I can't live a healthy life. That, my friends, is what we call the Kaufman 1 diet. It's been around for 30 years. Jump on board, try it. I'm glad you now have this information. Many of you know I do a live segment on the website, knowthecause.com, every week, and from that comes all of these questions. Kyle is in town and offered to answer a few of these with me. Folks, know that we are not doctors. We can't diagnose nor prognose any medical condition. What we can do is tell you nutritionally what we might do if we had that problem. So let's start with the first one here. What's the best way to deal with seasonal allergies? Ooh. Wow, seasonal or perennial?
Yeah, I used to be a seasonal allergy guy. Gosh, it was every single spring for me. And I was the guy with the thick lens glasses, box of Kleenex, an asthma inhaler, and all the rest. I'm not that guy anymore, thank goodness. I was such a dork, and it was always at springtime when the dorkiness would be exacerbated by allergies. I gotta tell you, when the diet is changed to starve out fungus, how does that have an effect on allergens? Well, I think of it as a toxic load. You're just being assaulted by a lot of different things. If you can bring the fungus, the mycotoxins down, and bring a diet in that is naturally anti-inflammatory, I'm pointing to Doug, it's the Kaufman antifungal diet. This is rich in berries and flavonoids and citrus fruits. These are so anti-inflammatory and so anti-allergy and antifungal to begin with. All of those in combination, I think, are fantastic. Yes, you need the vitamin C. Yes, you need the quercetin, but make sure the diet is right first.
See, I also like Dr. Dennis's spray, and I like beta-glucan.
Yep.
I like beta-glucan. Absolutely love it. Okay, next question. Okay, here's a good one. I remember reading this. I live in Baton Rouge. Remember all the floods? After the flood, there was much debris on the street. It had to be picked up. I had no water in my home. Wow. Imagine, you guys, imagine this. Taking olive leaf extract each day and gave some to my neighbors. Good for Carol. They've been removing walls, floors, furniture. I walk each day near piles of debris on mold. Must be there. Will it be a problem?
My goodness.
This all depends. Once again, who was it that said it's not the germ, it's the immunity? If you're 15 years old, Carol, probably no problem. If you're 65 years old, as we age, we become more vulnerable, not only to bacteria and mold, but any kind of microbe that might be out there. Thank you for giving your olive leaf to people who really need it. Olive leaf tends to kill germs. What are your thoughts on this, Kyle?
It's exactly what you said, and I think that, again, it's the net exposure. You're being exposed all the time. It's kind of like the last question. I think of toxic load. And you folks in Louisiana have been assaulted year after year, by the way, with different flooding and hurricanes and such. And I think the more that you can be insulated from that, the better.
And you can't live in a bubble.
No.
Being out there, the way the immune system does work or should work is when you're exposed to any poison, you make antibodies to it. So when you're younger, this is easy. As you age, remember one thing, mold is immunosuppressive. So all of a sudden you're getting allergies, you got tummy problems, your immune system isn't working, you get the flu every year, and it could be from that mold exposure. This next question I think we all need to pause on and really think about. I read it the other day. If you were diagnosed with cancer, what would be the first thing you would do? Okay, I'm going to answer that in one word, and that's assess. Wait a minute. I'm 67 years old. I've never had that lump here or in my prostate or in my brain or in my breast. I never had it. What happened the last year? Oh, that's right. Doctor put me on 3 rounds of antibiotics. Antibiotics are mycotoxins, fungal metabolites that are poisonous. Thank God they are poisonous because they'll kill bacteria in tiny doses. They'll kill bigger organisms in bigger doses. And you took 4 months of them. So just be careful with that. What's changed? Did I move into a new apartment that had mold in it? Is there mold leaking from the roof? Have I been eating lots and lots of corn? Did I take up drinking because I'm retiring now? All of those things expose you to mycotoxins that I think do induce cancer.
Do I eat a diet that I think is healthy for me because they said that whole wheat was what I should eat every day? They said the glass of wine is what I should drink every day. Am I doing what I think is the healthy way to go? And do I need to reassess and maybe look at a different idea? I got to tell you, when you read Kaufman's books, when you see the video on knowthecause.com about the whole cancer theory, you begin to realize maybe I've been doing some things that are leading to cancer instead of running away from it.
Make us part of your team. See an oncologist, get a good nutritionist that you're comfortable with, and make Know the Cause part of the team. Become a FUPO head. Fungus until proven otherwise, we often say. I hope that helps you. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
You knew what my answer was going to be. What would I do if I had cancer, right? Thank you, Kyle Drew, for coming in and talking about seasonal and perennial allergies, those that have become year-round. Thank you so much, Daniel, for introducing us to the body needs water, how much water, right? And then I think the most important thing we learned today, and thank you, Paul, for this, out of Synergy Science, is which water. Which water should we be drinking? These are his Echo units, folks. This is the one that sits on the counter. I love the design and the color. That'd go good in my kitchen. And then that's the big boy right there that can go under the counter, or it's so handsome, I think I'd leave it on top of the counter. It comes with a spigot. And by the way, when you order, you can go directly on my website, knowthecause.com. It's important if you call the toll-free number on my website that you say, I know Doug, I want his discount. These are fairly expensive units. They will finance them for you, as Paul said. They have no problem doing that. They'd like to put one of these in every kitchen in America. It's now sitting in my kitchen. Is it sitting in your kitchen? We have choices, folks. Some of you, and I have a relative who does this, and he does it to annoy me. He always walks into his kitchen, turns the water on, the tap water on out of a jar, and drinks it down. See, Doug, I'm fine, and I'm 12 years old. I feel great. What's going to happen later in life? We're exposed to a lot of toxins, folks. We breathe in these toxins. We can drink these toxins. As you learned in today's show, we can eat these toxins, okay? So when you call Paul or you order online and you need to make a phone call, just tell the operator at the toll-free number, I'm a friend of Doug's. I'm ordering through Doug, and they will give you that discount, okay? How'd you enjoy today's show? What would you rate it on a 0 to 10? Are you aware that I answer your questions live every Tuesday and Thursday from 3 to 4 Central? You can go to knowthecause.com, Doug Live on Facebook. Boom. Talk away. God bless you guys. Good to see you. Bye-bye.